I recently took down from a 9 to 5 to earning $83,000 in 30 days in contracts. And we did it through a 3-step system, which I'm going to break down today, which is the exact playbook that allowed him to quit his 9 to 5 this week. And we used the skill set that he already had in his 9 to 5. He didn't need to build a whole new business model. It was something very, very simple that you might also have a skill set inside your 9 to 5, and you just need this 3-step system. And the first one is the painkiller offer. This is selling the transformation and not just a service. We've got the automated outreach, so you're not spending all day typing out messages to people after your 9 to 5. This is a 24/7 automated system that runs during your 9 to 5, during the evenings, during the weekends even. And then finally, we've got the sales systems where we don't have prospects say to you, oh, I'll think about it. We're getting deals signed on the call. So I'm gonna go through that today, and make sure to hang about till the end as well, because I'm giving away a free chatbot which helps you build this exact system for yourself. And also the reason why this is so important is because AI is coming. AI is coming for your job, and you can either be on the wrong side of it where it replaces you, or you can also be on the right side of it. So we've implemented a lot of AI systems, and now is the time. Now is the time to get into business, take control of your income, because you don't want your job replaced. You want to utilize it. Now is the time. The next 12 months, this is the start of the wave. Every single business in the next 5 years will have AI. So if you get in early, which is now, that is where you can completely change your life and not be thinking in 2-3 years time, oh, I wish I started back then. And if you don't know who I am, my name's Joe. I used to be a plasterer in the UK over 2.5 years ago now, and now I earn 25K a month through my marketing agency and live out in Bali currently. I've traveled to over 40 countries in the past 2 years, and now I run the Nomad Circle where I help people do the exact same. But this video is obviously free information of how you can do it yourself. So when Dan joined the community, he was a videographer working basically underpaid in his 9 to 5. He's a very good videographer, but wasn't earning too much for his 9 to 5, and obviously it gave him absolutely no time or location freedom at all. So he thought, okay, let's try and do some outreach. So before he joined, he tried a bit of outreach, and he didn't have a clear offer, he didn't have any outreach strategies, and he also didn't really know how to do sales. So this led him to not get many responses. He'd occasionally get a one-off deal of maybe $300 to $500, but it wasn't enough to sustain him. It wasn't enough to actually leave his 9 to 5 or anything like that. So he was stuck in this problem cycle where, because he wasn't getting very good deals, he was then not very consistent with his outreach, he wasn't consistently earning. So then that kept him stuck in his underpaid 9 to 5. And he was basically stuck in this cycle. And that's why he joined the community, because he wanted this clear system of creating an offer. So that's what we'll first go into. How to create an offer where instead of charging $300 to $500, he can charge deals where he got over 48K on one deal. So the first step in the system is the painkiller offer. So when Dan joined us, he had a very vitamin offer. And by that, I mean, it's a nice to have. You can have a vitamin and it might improve your life slightly, but it is not a painful problem. You wouldn't pay a lot for it. It's not a bleeding neck problem, as they say, something that you need to solve instantly. He was selling his videography to car dealerships. It's like a nice to have. Oh, I can get you some videos, I can get you some nice photos. And yeah, he could charge $300 to $500 for that, but he can never charge the big bucks because he wasn't targeting the problem that they had. So instead of being a vitamin offer, we wanted to be a painkiller offer. People buy from a painful situation. If you have a problem, you buy a service or a product to solve that problem. So for those, they weren't buying nice content. They had a problem that they couldn't shift their cars. Their cars sitting inside their dealership that they couldn't shift, and it was costing them to have them there. They were losing deals to competitors who had better content. Their revenue wasn't as high as it should be because the content in the website and they weren't running their social media effectively enough. All of these were painful problems. And also time. The owners or the current social media person didn't have the time to do all of this, didn't have time to do all the shooting, all the editing, all the posting. So instead we delivered it as a painkiller offer. So instead of saying, oh, we do videography for car dealerships, Dan then framed it as, we increase your revenue, we get faster inventory movement, it's a full done for you service, and we take deals off your competitors by using content. So he wasn't selling the service, He was selling the transformation of going from not being able to sell cars to be able to sell cars using the service. The service was just the mechanism to actually get the transformation. And once you start positioning yourself like this, you become so different. You create your own blue ocean because there's so many videographers out there. There's millions of videographers. So how do you actually differentiate yourself? You differentiate yourself by selling the transformation, selling what they actually want, which is to solve their painful situation and take them to the dream situation of more revenue, faster inventory movement. So with your service, really look at it as, oh, I don't just do content, I don't just do paid ads, I don't just do AI. What are people actually paying for? What do they actually want solved? And not, oh, I can post you some videos, I can film some content for you. And if you need help with your offer, look in the description and we've got the offer chatbot, which is completely free, which will help you with your skill, your niche, and also your offer. But the second part is the automated outreach. So with the outreach, Dan was never very consistent. One, because his offer wasn't right, so he wasn't getting very good replies. But two, he was doing it all manually. So within our community, and also the system I'm gonna teach you now, is we have an automated email system. Cold email is literally the best way to sign clients. And the way we set this up is through 11 domains, 31 emails, which allows us to send 750 emails per day. And what most beginners have a problem is, they have one email, they'll send loads of emails that aren't personalized to info@emails, and they don't realize that you need to protect deliverability. So deliverability is basically how likely you are to land in the inbox compared to spam. If you're landing in the spam, it doesn't matter how good your email is, people aren't going to read it. So what we do is have 11 domains, 31 emails. This allows us to send that many emails a day, 750 personalized emails, while making sure every single one is landing inside of the inbox. So you're very, very likely to be seen. And the way we do this, we have Apollo. So Apollo scrapes the leads. So you want to be finding decision makers. So for Dan, we want to find the owners or the marketing managers of these car dealerships. And then we use Export Apollo because it's a cheaper system to actually find those leads. MailVeri, before you send out the emails, you want to verify the emails. If you were getting a lot of bounces, so if you're sending an email and it's coming back to you because it's not a proper address, you then have the problem that your deliverability will start to dive bomb. So that's to protect the deliverability. And then what we do is put these leads inside of a system called Instantly, which sends the emails automatically every single day. So Dan is not sat there typing out emails every single day. Instead, he's reaching out to 750 car dealerships every single day while working a 9 to 5, which he's obviously quit now. So that is the email system. And then we've got LinkedIn as well, which is very targeted. He could target specific companies that he wanted to reach to, where he could target the owner of the company, not just the generic LinkedIn. So that performed really, really well for him as well. So he was getting a lot of replies, booking a lot of sales calls, and that's what allowed him to do 83K in the last 30 days compared to the occasional $300 to $500 deal maybe every couple of months. And what we actually say in this outreach is, first off, we have the script. So we want to send off the email and the LinkedIns, but we don't just want to say, oh, we run this service, do you need it, essentially? So with the script, we want to call out the problem or the dream outcome. So they might have the problem of not being able to shift their cars and their dealership quick enough, their revenue might be struggling, they might not have content, they might not have time. Then we want to transition into our offer. So Dan would say, that's exactly what I help with a content system, and add in any authority that you have. If you've worked in the industry a while, any testimonials from your clients, any results for your clients, you want to add in there as well. Why should they listen to you? And then finally, you want to offer value. So instead of just saying, let's hop on a call straight away, what many people don't do in the agency space is actually provide value and provide personalization. So what I told Dan to offer was a 2-minute Loom video. So if it's helpful, can I send over a 2-minute video which will explain exactly how I can help your dealership? And then when they replied saying, yes, we're interested, he would then send a Loom video, literally 2 minutes, website on screen, and basically describe in very, very short detail how we can help them, and then invite them on a call. So that stage is then we get them on a call. And he's booking loads of sales calls, and because we're sending so many emails, they're personalized, LinkedIn, and we really dialed in the offer. So it wasn't just a nice to have, it wasn't a commodity of videography. we were solving their problems with the offer. And then finally, the third step of the system, and probably the most important, is sales. Once you get them there, Dan had this like no system in place really to have these sales calls. And a lot of people would just end up with, yeah, we'll have a think about it, or they'd lowball them in terms of price. So with sales calls, I know as a beginner, it can be scary, and I'm a massive introvert, and it's something that I worked on, but there should be a sales script and a sales framework that you should follow. And what you want to start the call with is alpha framing. So at the start, you want to basically say, here is how the call will be run. I'll ask you some questions, understand more about your business, and if it's something I feel like I could help you with, then I can talk about my service. Does that sound okay? They'll then say yes, which puts you in the alpha frame. And then you start to ask questions. And this is called the discovery phase, which should be around 20 to 30 minutes. First off, you want to understand their current situation. They're in a painful situation. You want to understand their painful situation. Like why are they struggling with revenue? Why are they struggling to get sales? Why are they struggling with leads? How that is affecting them. So you're basically getting them to understand where they're at. And then, so they've understood where they're at here, and now you want to stretch them to their dream outcome. What is their dream situation? Like, obviously they're in this painful situation. You want to ask questions. Okay, what are your goals next 12 months? Like, where do you want to be at? What would your revenue look like? How would your life personally, not just the business, if you got to 30K a month, how would your business change your life? How would that change your life? So you're really stretching this out. You're stretching into this dream outcome, and they start to get excited. They start to see where they could be. And you've created this gap between where they are and where they want to get to. And you basically want to ask them, okay, what's stopping you from making this gap? And there will always be something. They come into a call because they have a problem. So now you need to understand what is stopping them. They now understand there is a gap between where they are and where they want to get to. They will then tell you what that problem is that's stopping them to get to between the two. And then that's where you launch into the pitch, where you basically say, well, that gap, I build a bridge for that gap, and a smooth, easy bridge that you can go across from your painful situation to your dream outcome. And that is what I do. So you then want to pitch to them. And naturally, once you pitch to them, they'll start to ask questions. And those questions depend on your service, but they're usually reasonably basic questions, basically how it will implement for them. And they might have a few objections. So objections are actually a good sign. People have this negative mindset with objections. So this is like reasons people wouldn't buy. But people only have objections or questions if they're actually interested. If they weren't interested, they'd just say, no, I'm not interested. So with these objections, they might say, oh yeah, but I'm not sure we'll get our return on money with the content. And then you can basically say, oh, I've got this testimonial which shows this client had the exact same problem, and you can see we took them from this situation to this situation. I'd like positively frame it. So they'll have, you want to do the discovery phase, you'll then pitch to them, they'll then have questions and objections, and you'll handle those objections. And then finally, it will get to pricing. They'll ask you the price, but before you mention the price, you want to do a temperature check. So they'll say, oh, okay, sounds great. In terms of pricing, what is it? And you'll say, before I mention pricing, I want to make sure you understand the whole system and whether it's a good fit for you. So on a scale of 1 to 10 of how good this system seems for you, like would fit you, with 10 being, this is absolutely perfect for me, price aside, like I'm ready to go. And 1 being, you're gonna block me after the call and yeah, I'll never speak to you again. Where would you be on that scale? If they say anything over 8, you can then talk about the price. If they're anything below 8, you don't want to mention the price. If someone's below 8, they're not going to buy from you. So you basically want to say, okay, so you mentioned that it's a 7 out of 10. What do you think's missing? What would make it a 9 or 10 out of 10? And then what you can do is, it might be a simple question that they haven't answered or something within your service they don't understand. So you want to handle all those questions again, any questions that they have to get them up to a 9 or 10. Then you want to re-temperature check. Be like, oh, now I've clarified that. Would you say you're now nearer like a 9 or 10 out of 10? Once they say yes, then you go on to the pricing. And with the pricing, you want to call it an investment, never a price. So you can say the investment is 2K a month, and then you want to shut up. Don't try and justify it. Don't say anything. They'll need time to think and sit in the silence, and then they'll come back to you and let you know they might have more questions, more objections. But that's exactly what we did to Dan. He started to go through this whole process. We created him a sales script, and that's why first deal he did 48K. And then second deal, he did whatever 48K, whatever 83K minus 48K is, which is 45K. No, it's not, it's 35K. Testing you, I'm testing you. So yeah, that's how we did those 2 deals, basically using that exact sales system. So these 3 steps are exactly what Dan did to go from a 9 to 5, which he's now quit inside London. Now he has the freedom to travel, he has the freedom to spend his time how he wants. He was working 5 days a week for less money than this, and now he literally has to work maybe 2 days a week, and it's something we're looking to now outsource for him as well. So he's completely bought his time back. And this, you can do the exact same thing. Whether you have a skill set inside your 9 to 5 and you want to turn it into a whole system and an agency where you can sign multiple clients, or if you're just willing to learn a skill. I was a plasterer at the time, and I learned the skill of marketing, and I was able to sell it, and within the first 3 months got to 5K a month, and now it's allowing me to travel all over the world. So this is the exact system that you need to follow. If you want to learn the whole system in more detail, I'll add a video below, which is a full 1 hour, 10 minutes, I think, of training, which goes into every single detail. You can get access to stuff like the sales script, the outreach system, everything. And also, I mentioned the chatbot is below as well. And if you don't want to do this by yourself, if you want to fast track this, and we actually offer a guarantee within my community that if you don't hit 3 to 5K a month within 6 months, we keep working with you for free until you do. And you work directly one-to-one with me to build this digital nomad lifestyle and to build an online income. So also, if you want that, you can apply below to have a call with us and see if you'd be a good fit. But thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.